time. It's not story time, but it is go time. Hello, everyone. How the hell are all of you? Let's turn that off. Boom, there it is right there. Apparently now when we rearranged the office a little bit, now you have a perfect view of white chocolate. This is the primary bass that my cousin plays. My cousin, Mr. Merciless. It's pretty sexy.
It is
beautiful. It's real nice. It's actually real nice. Sometimes I get to borrow it, and it's lovely.
Oh, we did not. Look at you.
Ladies and gentlemen, look who's in the house.
How you guys?
Still a little brave for me, but you know what? We're not screwing with it anymore because it's okay. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to get a little bit of a discussion going about AI art, and AI for world building and AI for writing, and some what I think are non-evil ways to use these tools. And if you guys are using AI in your businesses right now, I would love to hear about that when we get to the chat part of the section. If you are using AI for creative use in any way, I'd like to hear about that too. And if you happen to be doing some of the things we're going to talk about that are an absolute no-no, sorry, you're going to burn in hell. It's just it's the way it is. Very sorry.
Okay.
Very sorry. Baby, it's okay. Hell's a real place. It's fine. They'll burn there. Vacancies in hell. All right, let's get back to here. Boom. Hello. There we are, ladies and germs.
Hi, you guys.
How are you? I did not get this quite set up right. Hold on, baby. One more second, and then we go. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SIGLERinPLACE. We got a great show for you. We're going to go over some housekeeping right now, and we've got some information to share with you and a peek behind the curtain. The first time I have ever shown the Secret Agent Wiki, which is the source of all knowledge for the stories that you have not yet seen. You're going to get a tiny little sliver of a sneak peek in that shit.
For sure.
And show you, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you how we make the brownies, dog. We're going to show you how we do it. And I'm now, for this current book, I'm using AI very heavily.
Hey,
but first,
nice to see you.
First, let's get into, how are we doing in the crowd tonight? Doing good.
Jennifer,
Everybody?
I love you right back.
Let's see. Anybody else got a birthday out there today?
John Vizcarra.
John Vizcarra's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dick John Vizcarra. Happy birthday to you. He is the czar of the Siglerverse. He's the continuity czar.
My mic is
your mic's a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's me.
Oh, it's
muted.
Of course it's muted. Gosh darn it. I almost said, nope, not muted.
Not.
What?
Then a little low, maybe.
All right.
I also didn't have it in front of my face for a moment. So.
Watch out for a second. This could jump up on you. That should be, I had a lot of hiss out of your side before. And now talk. How you doing now? Talk to me.
Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2.
Yep. Is that better?
I think so.
I'm too loud. So we'll bring me down. There we go. I look okay. Talk a little bit, babe.
Did you close that window?
Yes, I did close that window.
Yeah, I hear the hiss too myself. Interesting.
Yep. Still got some issues. Hopefully we're going to get Ricky Berg in here one of these days. See, now
Don
I can
Shipley,
get the
happy
echo from yours.
Thanksgiving.
That's bonkers.
Yep.
Bonkers. So let me turn this off and we're going to get into the program. Just give you more regular old volume and see if that works. Boom.
Yeah, why not? I'm a loud mofo.
That's way better. I think
well,
that's better.
We'll see.
Anyways, here we go. So let's go over the schedule of the stank. Here's what is coming up for you from the Siglerverse in the near future. Oh, let's go to, I did forget. I'm a little shout out, you guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm not
sure.
I
showed up a minute late. So I will say, if he hasn't said it, he's quite literally been doing at least 9-hour days, almost always 10 or 11-hour days for the past month. And it's a strategic decision we made. Like, a handful of things happened and timelines got moved and all the things. But also we wanted to have it done by next Wednesday, SIGLERinPLACE, so that the day after next Wednesday, SIGLERinPLACE, is Scott's birthday. And then we are going on a small holiday. And so we were sort of hoping that he could be done. And I think that's actually going to happen.
And in advance, cheers to you, babe. Cheers to you, babe. Cheers to all you guys. All right, the schedule of the stank, as I said, we have over at the site, November 19th, last Sunday, we had
Shannon.
Number 1 with a Bullet,
Travis.
Part 2, an incredibly delicious, delectable, evil football story. You guys might want to check that out. And then coming up November 26th over at scottssigler.com and in all your podcast feeds, we are going to have the last story of Blood is Red, and that is called Sacred Cow. Mm-hmm. So Sacred Cow, we're going to finish everything up with. One of my favorite stories, Sacred Cow.
Yep.
And then we've got on November 29th, we have the Blood is Red Q&A episode.
Yep. And that is going to be, we have had a lot of you guys have sent in emails. And as ever, specifically about any of the Blood is Red stories or Scott's short story telling or whatever, but also any other questions you have about the Siglerverse or Scott, send any of those questions to info@emptyset. We do have a bunch already, but we are going to be recording on the 29th, next Wednesday. That's going to be a long show.
Do it live.
Of a long show. And we're going to do it live. We're just going to answer all those questions because, as I just mentioned, there won't be a December 6th Sigler in Place. And that way we'll have all the questions answered in one.
And then on November 30th, I should be done with the current work in progress Warpath, which I can't tell you about, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain for Warpath today. And then on December 1st, GFL Book 7 final draft begins. On December 2nd, of course, we have the best thing ever for junkies. We've got Steve Rickyberg's Junkie Party, which is going to so that goes from 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock on December 2nd. I'm trying to get my mic dialed in.
I often join. I joined last month for a really long time. I also was a little bit high and got distracted by a dog walk. So those are the things that sort of happened. But Steve is such a good dude. He stays for like 7 hours so that people all around the world can join when it's appropriate. You can hop in, hop out. I won't be on this one's, but I'll be back in January.
And for those of you who just joined us, we're going to be talking about how I'm using AI right now in just a couple minutes. Finish up our housekeeping. On December 3rd, you're going to hear the Blood is Red Q&A part 1 or possibly all of it in the podcast feed. December 6th, as she said, no Sigler in Place. December 13th, right here, a live read of Slay Season 2, Episode 1. We're going to be back with Lincoln and Dragon and Magda and Mjolnir.
Those poor birds.
And the Sex Gnomes and Shitbird and Billy and the whole crew. At least the people who lived through Season 1. You're going to be back for all that. December 17th, Slay Season 2, Episode 1 will then be in the podcast feed. And then February 14th, the only thing we have in the schedule, Slay Book 1 is going to be available. I think we're going to have an audiobook first. We're having a little bit of trouble getting some of this stuff dialed in. So probably audiobook to start with, and then we'll wind up bringing out the print and ebook after we get some back-end stuff cleared up with Amazon. So there you go.
So we, as Scott said, we have been sort of following this ChatGPT OpenAI discussion, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yes. But first, you're going to go to that one? Talk about that? Yeah. Sorry.
But first, we wanted to say that we have two things to talk about around Thanksgiving. The first one is we're going to talk about last, and we're going to say what we're thankful for. You guys are doing that in the chat. But first, we want to tell you, because we haven't really talked about it anywhere other than here, but tomorrow it's going to go big. We're going to send out a newsletter and post about it. So you guys get one last night. We do have a Black Friday, an Orange Friday sale, we call it, because everybody does Black Friday. But we're
Orange and Black Friday.
Yeah.
The Orange and Black Friday.
You can use the code Orange Friday or the code Black Friday to receive 15% off any product that we ship from our store. We have a ton of stuff in there. We have a handful of long sleeves. I know last week a lot of you guys asked for the trench warfare in long sleeves, and it's just not approved yet, but it probably should be by tomorrow.
We're going to get at it. We're going to get jiggy with it.
Scott is currently wearing tonight one of the new products. This is a Super Weapon long-sleeved tee.
We wear a lot of black in this house.
Yeah, we do. A lot of black in this house. But all the books that we ship are on sale. Those are also signed.
Point of order, we just found these. There are only four alives remaining, alive hardcover. So if you guys don't have one of those, you want one for your collection, get it now before the email comes out tomorrow. And then we also have hardcovers of Pandemic, Ancestor, and a Light. Mm-hmm. Those we will sign them. I will insult you. I will threaten your life or the life of your loved ones. Anything you want. It's
now
great.
Listen, all of those books that Scott just mentioned, Alive, A Light, Pandemic, Ancestor, those come signed. If you want them personalized, there's something has happened with our personalization thing. So just send an email to info@emptyset saying, I just ordered Alive. You'll see it in your email. Also, I want that personalized and I want him to insult me. Do that. Stay
girthy, bitches. Stay girthy. So, all right. So there we have got that covered. And of course, go back to Maine. And if you're not signed up for the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. Although you can also and should both sign up for our text. Text SIGTEXT 855-955-5095. Get your 10% coupon and anything in the store for one purchase, but you can't combine it with other ones. Don't be an asshole. You can't get us down to like negative 25%.
Well, they can't, actually. Yeah. They can't be assholes.
You can't because I told you. Oh, you can't do it because technology.
But there is no limit to how many times you can use the code Black Friday or Orange Friday between now and December 15th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. You can use it 67,000 times if you want to. We do not care. It discounts everything we sell in our store. It doesn't discount shipping at all, and it isn't combinable with
Reed,
other
what
offers.
Up? Shannon, got
some
new
new
people
said,
popping in. Yep, go ahead.
You are going to have until Friday, December 15th, and that is also the cutoff for shipping for Christmas domestically. The shipping for Christmas internationally, I hate to say this, is December 10th. You have to do that order by Sunday, December 10th, because I can't get an accurate shipping time from the United States Postal Service. They're saying between like 2 and 5 weeks. So,
all right. So now we're going to get into our content for the day. That was cool. It only took, usually your housekeeping takes about 15 minutes. This time it took 12. So we are rocking and rolling. You know what? Remind me to check. I gotta see if your microphone is omnidirectional or if it's set to the non-omnidirectional, which I can't remember. Let's get into it. So there is some crazy news going on over the past few days with a company called OpenAI, which is one of the leading companies in doing artificial intelligence, and they are the makers of ChatGPTs, which is one of the more prominent ones. They don't make Midjourney or any of the. They make DALL-E with DALL-E, which is one of the graphics programs. But there's a gentleman running that, and his name is Sam Altman. And Sam Altman, who is one of the founders at OpenAI, got fired 4 days ago for reasons we have not yet known, although some of the stories floating around now are Sam Altman's second coming sparks new fears of the AI apocalypse. And there's also some stories floating around that he was being somehow cavalier with the profit motive side of OpenAI, which the board members thought might lead to the annihilation of the human race. So this is the real shit that's going on right now.
I actually see it a little bit differently. I think when he testified before Congress and said, we absolutely need governance, the people on the board were like, oh, Tiny, we were trying to govern the entire world by AI and create Skynet. How dare you? So that's how much discourse there is on this idea. It is also important to note that the board, which is 5 members big, it's
down to 3. Down to 3 now.
Right, but when they fired him, there were 5 of them. One of them agreed with him that there needed to be governance because this could destroy the world.
Way to go, Brian.
And the other 4 were like, bro, don't say that shit out loud. Don't say the quiet part out loud. We need to make a lot of profit. So now there's 3. Sam Altman has left, but there were, at the time that the board had a no confidence vote and fired Sam Altman, there were 770 people who were employed by OpenAI. 700 of those people signaled that they were willing to leave if Sam didn't come back. That hasn't changed. He's not back, and they haven't left.
What's up, Ross? Well, welcome to see you. So he's now back as the CEO.
Hey, Mark. Nice
There's
to see you.
A bunch of Mark's in the house. There's a bunch of different stories out there about what's going on. Hopefully, we'll know the truth soon, because when people are throwing around phrases like Sam Altman's like, we need to control this shit or human race is going to die, and the board's saying Sam Altman's not paying attention and the human race is going to die, I'd like to know what's going on. But that's the side story to what we're talking about right now. So what we're getting into is, how am I using AI? And it's much more important than all this human race bullshit. How am I using AI?
But before we begin,
yeah.
It's an interesting thing, because you may or may not have thought about or read about the idea that AI was trained using publicly available...
Mark, I just accidentally blocked you by mistake.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to fix it. I'm going to try and fix this shit.
I'm going to talk while you fix. Mark
God.
is a personal friend of ours. He's he is on Scott's Instagram feed because he's the Chargers fan. He's a good friend of ours. So I'll talk while he sorts this
Mark,
out.
I'm sure you can still watch, but you can't chat right now because I'm a moron when it comes to this crap. Just
so he's going to sort that out, and I'm going to talk. So you may think, if you don't know, AI was trained on publicly available things on the internet. Now, there's a difference between publicly available and copyrighted. We have publicly available works of Scott's out on every purchase venue you could purchase it. That is still copyrighted material
All right,
that
I
we
fixed
get
it.
to own.
Mark, you're back in business, buddy.
Okay, good.
You better leave it. You better leave it. Yes, hippopotamus. I did it again. Go ahead, babe.
So, to that end, there is a moral question when AI was being trained by the people who were like, maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can make an artificial intelligence. They used the internet as its training ground without any regard to copyrighted material that was publicly available but protected by copyright and free speech and First Amendment, all the things, right? All of Scott's IP. Intellectual property. And here we are now. You cannot undo that. You cannot unbuild that. That is part of what's baked into the AI. And so now the question is, so Scott is all, okay, he's going to talk about how he uses AI, but it may have surprised some of you to hear us say Scott is going to talk about how he uses AI because Scott's work, copyrighted IP, so it's copyrighted and it's protected because it's in his intellectual property, absolutely was used to train AI. And yet you use AI in your writing.
Yes, and Ryan Minto says, can AI learn that the GFL is real? It could believe it's real. It's still crazy shit. So we'll keep tabs on the story for you. Some of the random shit going on about what is going down with OpenAI is frankly a little scary because these are not cavalier, stupid, dumb people. These are very smart people.
And today we're going to talk specifically about your use. But today I also want to say, like in the United States, Robert Reich, who is he runs Common Cause. He's a politics wonk. Talked about how quite literally AI has the code to teach itself. And his example was this. It's a very Skynet example.
Do you want to say this to the future of AI? This
sure,
reference?
Yeah. Then let's.
Okay, because we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the future of it. But for now, let's get into it. What you guys tuned in for? How I use the goddamn AI. First, a little bit of an overview. We gave you the Sam Altman thing, and now there's in the world of fiction. We're going to talk about the world of fiction and primarily fiction, but also several creative spaces. But I write books for a living. So this is some of the stories that AI has already made somewhat of an impact in the world of fiction, how AI art killed the indie book cover contest. This was a contest that happens every year. And this book, Bob the Wizard, won the contest. And people started saying, hey, hold on. That cover looks like it was done by AI. And the reason that is important is this. AI doesn't create art. AI does not go out and have this spontaneousness to come up with this color palette and this approach. What it does, as I mentioned, AI has been trained to analyze all of these different artists. And it's all the artists you've heard of, all the famous artists, and then thousands, if not millions, of artists that you have never heard of. And AI uses all of those. It builds algorithms based really on that work. So that when I say, you know what, I want a pop art style of shitbird in a mall in 1983 in Des Moines, and I want to make sure there is an Andy Warhol-esque feel to the whole thing, it will go out and put all of those things together and give you a finished piece of art that frankly is usually pretty fucking good. Except it's not original because it's based on the style of other people. So what this guy did, this artist made this, and people were like, hold on, there's like 4 pairs of sunglasses on him. There's a cat in the cloud. There were just all these clues. People were like, hold on.
Cat in the cloud.
There's a random cat in the cloud. It's a cat in the cloud. And
That's
so people
the
were
problem.
like, I think this is AI. And the guy who made the art's like, no, it's not AI. Here's my Photoshop files. And then, of course, being the internet, people went and analyzed the Photoshop files and actually found references to other pieces of art in the Photoshop files. The artist deleted his profile, deleted his website, and the poor author who had hired someone to do this art was left out in the cold. So that's one of those situations. And then we also, whoops, a little ad there. This is Clark's World magazine, one of the top sci-fi publication sources out there. people were flooding them with AI generated short stories. So they had to shut down their short story submission on their page because they admitted, they're like, frankly, we don't know how to handle this. So they had to stop their open submission policy and just go back to doing, we will invite you to audition for a thing. So the point is AI is being used both for cover art, which we're going to talk about, and it's being used to actually write fiction, and at least at a level where people can crank it out and submit it. And there are several AI generated full books out there. They're not very good yet, is a big part of what's going on, but they will get good in very short order. Go ahead, babe.
And you guys in the comments have said a lot of the very, very common current talking points surrounding this upset this week. One of them is everything that AI does is generative, right? AI doesn't actually create something novel, and it quite literally cannot, because all of its education is an amalgamation of things that it learned from the internet. And unless we can go back through and thread out anything that was an IP, an intellectual property that belonged to a creator or something that was copyrighted, I don't know how we do that. I am not that person to figure it out, but that's part of the problem. Another thing a lot of people saying, and Howard, you said it very well, is like, there's this idea on the internet that like, okay, creative companies like Disney or any movie company are thinking like, cool, I will get the AI to do the writer's job. But quite literally, the uniqueness in entertainment comes from this noggin, not the CEO's noggin. So there's I would love that the CEO's job is done by an algorithm. I would like the CEO's job to be done by AI. But here's the thing. I think this is the moment where we decide if we're having Skynet or not. And I do think, and I'm not saying that we can avoid it. I'm saying we can decide right this minute, this moment in this world, which is what Sam Altman is doing and what that board is doing, how humans want to interact with AI. And this is the only moment we have. We can put controls on it. Right now, AI doesn't need to exist. We want it to exist, but we want it to exist because Earth is currently capitalistic, and we might not want that. It might. I'll go back. No, I'll wait till later. You're right. Let's talk more about your.
This is my wife and I. It takes us approximately 9 to 12 hours to watch a 2-hour movie.
It's true.
It takes us 3 nights to watch a 2-hour movie, sometimes 4, because this is what we do. We go off in tangents, we talk about things.
Yeah,
Good.
Like we see a thing that happened, and then we both get on our phones and look for articles or supporting documentation about the thing that we were just thinking. So he's right. It does take us 4 days.
So now let's go ahead and go back to here. The last thing I'll say about this area is there's some great reading here on the Science Fiction Writers Association website. I'll put the link in there. SIFWA's current statement on AI use. And if you're curious about this topic, you can go read it. They put a lot of thought into it, and they are submitting statements to Congress to say, this is our thoughts on how we do this. And SIFWA's role in the world is to protect the creator. That is by and large what they do. They want to gather enough money to pay health care to creators in need. They want to protect the original writer. They want to protect the original writer's copyright, but not have it go in perpetuity for 4,000 or 5,000 years. There's a lot of things going on. I am a member. I don't follow it very closely, but I don't follow the organization all that closely. But I chip in my money because they do good stuff. But that's a great link. Check out the link if you want to see it. Now,
I'm just going to check in with the chat room for a minute.
Go.
Mark, our pal who got unblocked, says being human is to see everything that everyone else sees, but to think what nobody else has thought. And that is precisely exactly what ChatGPT doesn't really do.
Not yet. It's only a matter of time, dude.
Yeah, and Scott's not wrong. Right now, AI just regurgitates, but could be programmed to
regurgitates. Very good.
To think it through.
It's. We'll talk about this at the end. It's not a matter of someone programming it. The cat's already out of the bag. It's able to program itself. It's only going to be a number of iterations. This gets into artificial life theory, which is different artificial intelligence theory, and hopefully we'll touch on that. Could be a whole separate subject. It's stuff I've been reading about for a long time. So, but now let's talk about how I do what I do. So, here's your sneak peek, bitches. This site, John Viscar helps me manage this site a ton. This is the Secret Agent Wiki. I think Steve Rickyberg might have a login here. A has a login. She doesn't use it very often. But right here are the two current projects, Warpath and the owner. And then this Atomic Project never happened. Descendant never happened. And there's some other stuff. So what we're going to go through here, and I can't give spoilers about Warpath. Oops, I got to log in.
Nope.
Don't log in?
I think you might reveal a lot.
No, it's okay. All right. So we're going to go back to main. So the concept of artificial life is, in short, AI can be programmed to do a bunch of stuff. Artificial life is more of a concept of getting into the parameters that define a living being. Does it react to stimulus? Can it perform original actions? Can it reproduce? And can it evolve? And there's one more step. There's several other steps in there, but those are the big ones. So what we're getting to with artificial intelligence will eventually become artificial life. And we will talk about that. Thanks, babe. So let's go back to this. We need to find...
Hey, boss. Nice to see you.
Babe, vamp for a second. I need to find...
Great. I
one
totally
thing on
will.
art.
So listen, we did not talk about what we're grateful for, but we're going to do it at the end of the show because it's you guys. And also the other thing is we had the Sunday football game. You guys all saw that Squeaky had to go to the vet with her pops, and she did, and she has like a giant lump under her right eye on the outside. It looks like somebody tucked a little marble or a pea or something under her skin and fur, but she's on antibiotics.
She's doing all right.
Fine.
So we're going to cover a couple things really quickly here. Some of the stuff I can't talk to you about the story, but I think I can go over it. Let's just say for now that Warpath is a fantasy novel. And one of the things I've been using ChatGPT for is to help me define a language for this, for a culture in this fantasy novel. So here we have the Kapanoka language, and this goes through an enormous amount of information. This is, I'm tracking, the wiki is not AI, but the wiki's big computer help to me. This ChatGPT helped me with all of this. A syllabary. We've got a dictionary. We've got the actual grammar structure, verbs, nouns, how words are put together, gender approach, adjectives, quote, question formation, sentence examples. All of this was done by ChatGPT, which was analyzing people who may, I forget the term, but there's a term for fictitious language. So it went through in seconds, basically read all of the work that had been done on this by other fantasy writers and by linguists and sociologists, and said, all right, here are all these rules. We're going to cobble them together. You wanted this. Here's your geographic region. Here's your influences. Boom, here's your language. And in literally seconds, all of the work that would have taken me weeks or months to do to create a completely fictitious language for an entertainment property was all done based on rules of people who had put in the work to do and done like that. And I would have sucked at it. It goes back to a lesson I learned with the GFL. I'm like, geez, how hard can it be to make an NFL schedule? It's 22 teams. We'll make a schedule. It's a piece of cake. I'll knock it out on Excel. And those of you who have never tried to make a sports schedule right now are thinking, come on, Scott, how hard can it be? It's fucking impossible. There is full software suites to do this. It's very, very, very complicated. So I learned this thing I thought was simple is complicated, and it chewed up a ton of my time. So with ChatGPT, I now am able to create all the language rules for this. Now let me show you this. Oops. I got it. I got to start wearing glasses for the show.
I'll tell you guys, the person who made the GFL schedules, his name is Rob Frost.
Yep.
That's why commissioner is Rob Frost, because Rob Frost was like, no, I get this.
Bailed it
I
out.
can do this. I can randomize a season based on who's successful. And he did.
I
He
just
did it
spilled
well.
Scotch on my keyboard, you guys. Is scotch conductive?
Yes.
Oh, shit. I thought alcohol is not conductive. What do I know? This is why I write books. Now, don't do that. Dude, what did you do?
Oh, I didn't even think. I wiped off his. I wiped off his. Wiped.
Let's go back. It looks like no harm, no foul. So we're going to go over this briefly. So now what I'm going to show you with ChatGPT, which is super fucking cool, is I ask it questions about words, about translations. Translate this phrase. That doesn't sound right. I need it to be more masculine. I need it to be more feminine. I need it to be more non-genderish, these particular things. And I've gone through and I've written down all of the words. So all of these words are rooted in a fictitious language with complete grammar rules, and these are all of the words that have gone into doing it. So it's great. So all of the things I'm telling you about, I've used AI to help me world build. So I have a language, I have an enormous amount of cultural elements that have come from the language, and I have tracked all of this information in order to create this fantasy race. Can you call it race fantasy, or people are pissed about that? This fantasy culture, this fantasy culture,
but it's a whole culture.
It's a whole culture.
Yeah, it's not just
I'm not
race,
going to give you any more insights into what Warpath is about, but that is the gist of it. Now here is where we get into AI art, and we've already talked about AI art being a big problem because it capitalizes on the work of existing creators and prior creators, but doesn't compensate those creators. And I got a blog post I'm going to write about this in a couple of days. So again, of course, be on the, sign up for this, sign up for this. When this comes out, I'll let you know if you're interested. The point is, the question I'm asking myself now is, would I use AI art for the cover of one of our books? No. Christopher Paolini got in trouble for this. He didn't know it was happening, but the publishers are in a business to make money. They have shareholders. They don't give two shits. So they are going to find the cheapest solution to every problem. And right now, the cheapest solution is an AI cover. People are rebelling against this and saying this isn't fair. Here is the question I want you guys to think about. We're going to talk about right now. If I was going to put out a cover for a book and I use AI to make a cover for a book that's going to make me money, frankly, that's a shitty thing to do because we're aware that this is ripping off other people's art, right?
At this moment, we know that.
At this moment, we know that, right? At this moment, AI cannot spontaneously generate its own style of art. It is drafting off of the work of others, standing upon the shoulders of giants and little people and squashing them all down. Here's the question I want you guys. Here's the question I want you guys to think about: is what if I have art I would like to see for self-reference purposes, and it is art I would never pay for because there is no ROI on it for us. If I'm going to go out and spend $2,000-$3,000, because artists spend a lot of time on their work, I need really detailed character sketches of these. Here's the text from the book. Can you make me a picture so I just have a visual reference so I can identify it myself? But it's not something that's going to be published. It's not in a book.
Yeah. No, finish.
It's not printed. I'm not going to make any money off it. It's so I can have a better idea of the characters that I created in my own head. I would never pay someone for that because I won't make any money at it. I'll lose money at that. Yeah. But with AI, if I'm not going to publish it, that is the gray area.
And as you guys are thinking about the answer to the question that Scott just asked, what if I'm just trying to build my resources and whatever, I wouldn't pay for it because I would never use it, right? I'm just trying to get before you answer in the positive or negative with regard to AI, please do an internal check-in about how you use Google and Wikipedia.
Okay.
Because that's what we do. That's exactly what we do when we Google
Kurt's got a good question. Kurt asks, how can you be sure it hasn't borrowed words, cultural identifiers, etc., from existing cultures or fictional works? Frankly, I can't. That's a great question. I can't be sure of that. But in this instance, how I've used it is, here is a regional group of languages. Can you build grammatical rules and language structure based on that sounds similar to some of these structures? So there very well may be words in there, but it largely composes words on a syllabic rule system. So here are the 27 syllables and consonant combinations in this language. And then it randomly puts these things together, and it can track to a certain extent and keep track of things to a certain extent, but it literally says, I can't do this for you. You should copy this over off somewhere else. So there's a lot of words that come up like, now that sounds like this word. Or you made this word up and now it sounds like this. So I ask it just to spit out a bunch of new syllable gibberish that matches with the rule set, and we have a rule. We will find out if this gets me into trouble or not. Getting back to the art thing. So the art thing.
Wait, are you maybe going to reveal this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is this okay?
Yep, totally
okay,
fine.
Great.
So here is a character. Now remember, this is AI's interpretation of my fantasy world, and AI can only draw from real world constructs. So it gets a lot of stuff wrong. But the biggest thing I'm looking for is give me a realistic face so I can look at it and I can imprint the personality and go back and look at that face. And because we are creatures designed to analyze faces and emotions and faces 24/7 nonstop, that's part of our evolution. I can subconsciously imprint the character on a face, and then I go back and look at the face later when I forgot about the character. I'm like, oh, now I know what this guy, I know how this guy would look. I know what he would do based on the situation. So this is a completely AI generated. It's not quite and the website looks. Oh, wait, let's go. This is a character's name. Character is right here, and as you can see, a little bit of a Irish influence, Scottish influence on this.
Tiny.
Oh, you know what? Don't stand my goddamn character's woman. I'm standing right here. God, for God's sake.
I mean, I like you too.
But if you look at this is very helpful for me as a creator, because I now have a human face to apply to what I know internally are this moral structure, this set of traits, these accomplishments, these weaknesses, these failures, etc., etc. And by just looking at this face, I am able to better characterize in text what's going on for all of you. So that is a completely AI generated. I couldn't tell you what artist it is ripped off to do it, but this is not something that's ever going to be published or printed. Yes, it's drawing from the work of existing artists.
Yep.
But I would never hire an artist to make that because it doesn't have a return on it for me. It's very helpful to me. And if I do ever get to the point where we're going to put out, if this is very successful and the company that hired me to do Warpath wants to do some kind of character album, etc., what you're going to get is we're going to turn that over to an actual artist, and then hopefully I get to sit down with the artist and say, this is what I'm going for. This is the person's hopes, wants, needs. Here's the motivations. Here's what they want to accomplish. And then you rely on a talented graphic artist who's put in years of development to develop their skills. Then they create another picture. And then, and that's the whole collaborative process of like the Hollywood process. It's the artists and the creators, producers, everybody working together. Like, you know what? He's a little too white. We need to get a little more ethnicity. You know what? He's a little too black. We got to lighten that. Like that kind of thing goes on 24/7 in creating characters.
So I am going to walk back this discussion about 3 minutes, and I'm going to do it with two things. I'm going to do it with the chat that's up and with the current state of AI, right? So there have been in the last few minutes a handful of people who said the reason that I like this gentleman is that the AI gentleman is that he looks like Scott, but like whatever.
I got face blindness for human people. What do you want?
Well, I was going to say both things. He absolutely has that aphasia. He doesn't do that. And that is true. But part of the reason for that is AI is literally gleaning data that it can go out to the internet and get images for, because the person who is asking for the fine Scottish gentleman is Scott Sigler. Maybe and he does actually. You guys are right. I didn't notice that until just now. But
that's just Steve getting you out of trouble. I'm gonna tell you right now that went real well for you. That's good.
How dare you? But also, your friend Ryan makes a really good point and says if the author is just using that to kind of build their characters, I don't see any problem with that. But here's the weird conundrum. If this author is using AI to kind of see what his characters look like, that's, for me personally, that's fine, because that's him leaning on other creators. If he wants to use that image, he needs to identify those creators and pay them for their creation. And he cannot do that. He can't do that with AI. That's part of the problem, because AI doesn't give us that opportunity. So it's very confusing. Several people in the chat room have said, if it's just for your own, like if you're never publishing it, that's fine.
Look, dude, if I had, if I had Brandon Sanderson money and could have a budget to pay people to show up and make art for me or do it remotely, whatever. And like, I want this, I want this, I want this. Brandon Sanderson can, like that's a person who can afford that. So he could pay someone to make casual art that may or may not make it into a book, right? Or big time producers, big time directors, people can do that. That workshop. Like Ridley Scott can afford to do that. We're not in that situation. So at this point, this becomes a middle ground for me. We can and do pay for cover art or art that goes into our books. Mm-hmm. We pay good rates, and we know those rates are well earned because the people who make the kind of art I want to put in my book have some serious fucking skill, and it took them a long time to get there. But for this kind of stuff, if we wouldn't pay for it in the first place, this becomes a wonderful stopgap. So I'm going to. Ryan Mitchell says, you used AI to create a language that you will publish. Isn't that the same problem of not hiring a human linguist?
Exactly.
No,
right.
This is a good question, and this may wind up becoming a problem for us, but I don't think so, and here's why. There's only so many letters in the English language. You start to add all the accents and all of the umlauts and the other things, and you can extrapolate that out to a certain extent. There is a fixed number of syllables that the human mouth can make. And those are extremely well documented over hundreds of years of analysis and research. This is a closed toolbox, right? No one created the ah sound. No one created the schwa sound. No one created the hard K. No one created the hard C, the soft C. No one made these things. These things evolved across multiple cultures. So could AI, I'm using for the language, take an existing word and drop it in, and I don't recognize the word? Absolutely. However, if you take the widgets in that toolbox I just told you about, and you shake it up, you just shake up all these consonants and syllables, and then you drop them through a filter, which is like, here are the rules we are creating for this fictitious language. What's going to come through are things that are going to sound natural. They're going to sound like, I bet that sounds like a real word. It's not like 14 R's and an apostrophe and an X. It's not Elon Musk's kid's name, right?
It's exactly what I thought when you said that.
It's not some rich person wanting to make their kid's life fucking a nightmare. These are what these rule sets do, and what this AI is doing very well in ChatGPT is like, we're going to make this sound like a real language. Here's a rule set that is based on the analysis of thousands of existing rule sets of languages that really live, breathe, and carry culture. And then we get that back. And then I ask it to translate, which we're going to show you translation in just a second. So to translate this. And then initially, hold that thought. Initially, it was easy. Translate this sentence. It would translate it based on these rules and this toolbox and all the kits. And then I would just copy the words over into my dictionary over on my wiki. Now that I'm in the last 20% of the book, I'm like, translate this. And it's dropping out words that I'm like, hold on a second. I've seen that word before. So I will then copy the word, go search my wiki, and sure enough, they've already come up with that word. It means a completely different thing. So then I have to go back to ChatGPT and say, hey, you defined this as this. So therefore, it can't be this. Can you try again? And ChatGPT, which is very polite, by the way, very polite. ChatGPT will go, I'm so sorry. You're right. I did do that. And then it will give me a new word. And now we're to the point where it sometimes takes 4 and 5 iterations. So I finally take the word, search in my dictionary. That's not there. Then I have to look at the word and say, okay, well, this is a past plural possessive of the word. Now I have to go through the grammatical structure and say, past is okay, plural is okay, possessive, incorrect. And then I now modify the words. I put a ta or a t on the end of it because in this culture that modifies possessive, this modifies plural, etc. So will it take an existing word? Highly, highly doubtful.
We are almost out of time. We've got like 15 minutes left, so I'm gonna kludge in a few things here.
Kludge in, then I want to show this at work.
Number one, Steve in the Facebook chat room pointed this out, but it is 100% true. ChatGPT and AI learns from everything on the internet if it has the language programmed. So it's important to note that while we know all the sounds that humans can make, depending on where you were born and what language you speak when you grew up, before you were 7 years old, you trained your physical self to have glottal stops or language usage that other people don't. So if I, at 50 something years old right now, tried to learn Thai or Chinese, I would have glottal stops I can't make. I would always have an accent because I physically lost the ability to make my esophagus do that around 7 years old. So Steve is right. While we know every sound that a human can make, every language can't produce every sound. But ChatGPT and AI know every sound a human can make. So they may insert that into a language that can't deal with it. That's one. And the other point is Ryan Minto asked if you asked AI to cite its sources. And the problem with that is when you ask AI to cite its sources, it does the same thing you would do. How did you learn? And it doesn't have the memory. It doesn't have the neural network, so to speak. That's what we would call it in a human brain. When you learn to identify faces at around 18 months, and when you start to have a personality around 7 years, that is original source material to you. Even though people trained you, you don't know that the reason you call your grandmother Nana or Nanny or Gigi or whatever it is that's your family structure. You don't know that. What you know is the piece of information. That human is Gigi. So you can't cite your sources because it's native material to you. And that's the same thing.
Guys, I got bad news. As I'm looking, I've been using ChatGPT to try and help with research, and I find it to be very spotty. Frankly, it's much easier for me to. I've got one on here, for example, black widow spiders in history. It sucks, right? At this point, I don't know how to ask the questions correctly. I don't know how to phrase the search. It's faster for me to go and look things up on Google, because I've now, after 20 years, I'm kind of trained on scan, can't use it, next one, okay, I need that, boom, boom, copy that, paste that, search that. I'm now sort of a ChatGPT trained for my style of writing. I can look things up faster, more efficiently than they can. The problem is that all of those searches are on the left-hand side, and I don't know how to get rid of them in this window. And there will be spoilers for the book, which I will not allow in this courtroom. You are out of order, sir. Oh, I can't put on this. Sorry. You're out of order. So what we're going to do, what I did ask it to do was in order to move the current translations up so you wouldn't have any story spoilers, I said, please translate, the junkies are a bunch of awesome studs. And it says, in this language, it is sa hukinikina hawasitit sa wilaklima. There you go. That's the best you're going to get, because then it breaks down every word and what every word means. But the stuff on the left is going to spoil the story. So I'll figure out how to fix that later. It'd be really cool for you to see how this lives and breathes. So right off the bat, I can see it's got a word TSA, tsa, which is a bunch of. And that is sort of correct, because sa is a possessive plural. I know from writing this book, but a bunch of is not a possessive plural. So at this point, I would have to go back, tell it TSA is an existing suffix, which means this. Please retranslate. And ChatGPT is very polite. I mentioned it's very polite. I gotta do my. It's one of the most polite programs I know. Everybody tells me it's the most polite program. It will go, I'm so sorry. You are correct. Because it will go back and search its own shit, and then it will come out with a new word, and we try to do that. So, wait, David Roman says we'll hide lists halfway down the screen.
We're not going to do that because we have to talk about what we're thankful for. So we are going to close this conversation out for now, but we're promising you that when we can show these ChatGPT things, when the book is out and there are no spoilers, we'll do that in an episode of SIGLERinPLACE.
Oh, you tell what you're thankful for. I think I thank you. Thank you, David.
David
I think
Robin, yeah.
Your method does not work based on what I'm seeing, but I just found a workaround thanks on what you said. Go ahead, babe.
In the meantime, tomorrow, if you are not a citizen of the United States of America, tomorrow is Thursday for you. If you are, tomorrow is Thanksgiving for us. And while I absolutely understand that the story of Thanksgiving that we were sold maybe a bill of goods. I also understand that this is an opportunity where Scott and I can say how grateful we are for the life that we live. And with you guys, that's a very specific thing. We are people who try to make cool stuff for cool people and put it out into the world. And we all have had the most insane couple, 2-3 past years. But we're grateful that you guys help us be us, and super grateful for all the times you guys say, like, you helped me through Thanksgiving, you helped me through this. And that is a particular thing. So if anybody is going to a Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow in the United States with an in-law who loves football and you don't, you just love the GFL, make sure you have to catch a ball, young man.
Catch ball, young man. Catch ball.
What are the other things?
I'm grateful for all you fuckers, frankly. It's great. We get to do this every Wednesday,
Nice to see you,
which we
Josh.
enjoy. We get to write books. We get to sell you a bunch of fun shit. We get to celebrate when books come out. We get to interact with you all on social media. It's great. It's a wonderful life. The worst fucking day of work I've had in the last 2 weeks, which quite frankly, have been some of the worst days of my professional career working on this book. There's been some issues we're trying to get through, is infinitely better than the best day of work I ever had working for someone else. So that's paraphrasing my dad, Coach Sigler, who's one of his favorite phrases is, let me see if I have this right. The worst day of fishing is better than the best day of work you ever had. Man likes to fish. So the worst day of work I have writing books for all of you guys and interacting with you is infinitely better than the best day I ever had working for other people, working in corporate world. And it's not like I didn't like that work, but oh my God, this is better. When I was doing that work, I was like, how the fuck do I come back tomorrow and not murder everyone in this fucking office?
Had you
And I don't do that now.
Did you ever have a...
No comment.
He actually knows the
comment.
thing I was going to ask. I'll tell you guys. He won't answer. He and I both had more than one meeting with our manager when we were taught. We were...
Can I have this? This is in the early days of email. That's how old I am. The early days of email. I got called into my manager's office at a company I was working for in San Francisco because I wasn't using enough emojis in my email, and everybody thought I was angry all the time, and I had an angry face all the time. So I was giving a talking to make my emails less confrontational because I didn't have smiley faces in my shit. And I was just like, that was the final moment for me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to work, I'm going to write. Eventually I'll break down this writing thing and I'll work and I'll write. It'll be great. And at that moment I was like, first of all, this is my fucking happy face. I'm like, it was like, what do you mean people think I'm mad all the time? This is my normal face.
I'm fine.
What are you talking about?
Here, make your normal face.
Like that, actually, that was a little bit of a smile. That's my normal fucking face. But then when having the conversation, like, everybody thinks your emails are too harsh. I'm like, this is a fucking business. I am trying to get business accomplished. If I want Sarah to give me the report, hey, Sarah, can I have the report by 5? Yes or no? That's a fucking business question. If Sarah can't give me the fucking report, I'll readjust. That's not a problem. I don't need to put a fucking smiley face in my shit. So you're fucking worried about your own goddamn fucking feelings because you don't have the fucking report, Sarah. If you weren't fucking taking a 2-hour lunch, you would have got your shit done.
Jenna Leah, I am also happy to see your beautiful face here the day before Thanksgiving. We were just talking about...
Talking about that goddamn piece of shit, Sarah, drafting on the work of everybody. Okay, here we go. Now I figured this out. All right, here we go. So now we're going to do this. All right, so I want...
My brother's in the chat.
Howard, is Howard still in the chat room? Howard, put yes in the chat room if you're in the chat room. And let's make it snappy. Don't be snarrow. Let's go. Howard, let's go. Chop, chop.
Also, Stephen King. I'm so sorry.
Stephen King next?
Yeah, he was. And he jumped in. He's like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so sorry about this.
Stephen,
we're
be
still
glad you never
you're
needed a
here.
fucking report from Sarah because you aren't going to fucking get it this week. You're not going to get it.
Sarah
You're not
is
going to get it.
having...
All right. Everybody, let's go ahead and the first person to type in, and don't be an asshole, the first person to type in a fantasy-related, and that's fictional fantasy, not, boom, boom, fantasy, a fantasy-related question that I can ask it to translate. We're going to do this in real time.
I think Stephen has it. Can you ask?
Yes, Stephen got it.
I need that.
Let's go ahead and change that to harvest report. Stephen, shall we?
Why?
Because how is ChatGPT going to know to fucking... Let's find out.
They might have watched Office Space.
Here we go. Please translate into
Martin, we love you just as much.
What did Stephen say?
I need that TPS report.
That TPS
I need
report.
you to come in on Saturday.
Here we go. Let's see what it says. It's taken a second because once they fired the CEO, the fucking program went to shit. So now ChatGPT is thinking in Kapanoka that says Hawawosi, Sikanaka, Nita, TPS. It kept TPS. It has seen the movie. And then now this is fascinating. Look at this, you guys. Fascinating. Let's see. You can't see all of it. I got to ask it something. Let's see. Break down the word report.
He's
please.
Asking ChatGPT
I'm just trying to get it to
do that.
I'm trying to get some
You
space
can't
here.
see that on the screen because
this.
the
Hold
lower is there. The 1/3 lower is there. But he's asking, like, cool, that was a little not what I wanted.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that the bottom part is gibberish. What it does now, because I've asked it to do this repeatedly, initially it would just give you this translation right here. Can't highlight it. It would just do that little part right there. I have repeatedly now, because it's giving me the same words, because it's got a limited rule set, I'm like, can you break that down so I can understand what each word means? So it automatically now knows I want ChatGPT to break the sentence down. It has learned that based on my usage through no prompt of my own. It now just knows he's probably going to ask for the breakdown, so it gives you the breakdown. So now you get all of this stuff right here. And this is where while this is a wonderful tool, the tool has limitations. The edge has grown dull on this tool. Hawiawasi is not I. I is a completely different word. I know that. Sikana, need, Nita, that, TPS, acronym left unchanged, Tawika, report. I would have to go through word 3 and 5 because I don't know if I've used those before, but I know I haven't used word number 2. So this is what it does. But it's not just spitting out gibberish. It's giving me these words based on the rule structure and the limited meanings it has retained in its small little database. What I would love to see is eventually, and I've asked it repeatedly to do this, is to get to the point where, like, I will pay you money for bandwidth. Can you just track these words so I don't have to keep looking back and forth? And it can't do that yet, but that's right around the corner.
But
so
part of that is that it's a baby, right?
It's a baby, It's
it's
baby
understanding
programming.
its own language. So we have a few comments, and then we're going to, he needs a break. We're going to get off and go home. But we have a few. You were right. It knew everything but TPS reports. Also, Tracy, sir, how dare you, Tracy? Tracy Shank said, wait, it keeps moving. If you could get that report to Sarah, that would be great.
You know what, Sarah? Here's your fucking smiley face. What do you think of that? There you go. There's your fucking smiley face. I got called into an office and I didn't use smiley.
Christine, Scott goes this crazy about language. Every author and love.
This is not uncommon.
Absolutely. Think about present past tense and all that, second participle, all that. I'm not sure they get it right because I don't even know how it could be right.
Babe, trust me, I am a neophyte in this world. I'm a tadpole. There are nerd-ass writers who will spend months creating a language with every fucking rule, and it's perfect, and it's awesome, and it's like Klingon. You could learn it. I'm like this. I'm like, Here's my little tiny language ween. It's this small. There's a lot of authors with big old schlongy language weens, big, much longer, thick and girthy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Good.
we're probably done.
Are we? I'm having fun though. This is great. Okay, so. Oh my God, who said that? Fucking Howard. Howard, you missed your chance to do a translate, but you did get. Sounds like a certain piece of software has a case of the Wednesdays. Very good, Howard. Very fucking good. Plus 15 experience points for
Matt
you, bro.
Moretti, our good pal. Like so many phrasings. Yeah. So, we are going to go.
Yeah, you know what? Preposterous, you're right. Thanksgiving is a problematic holiday in some regards, but you know what? It's also, if you break it, let's break it. The core element of what Thanksgiving has evolved to become in the American culture is we're going to say, hey, thank you for all of the wonderful shit that we have. Because for by and large, most of us are not hiding in a deep ditch, dodging bullets and looking for a tiny bit of beef and baked beans in the bottom of a can so we can have some level of protein. Like, this is basically what Thanksgiving has become. We are grateful for those around us who love us. We are grateful for those that we love. We're grateful for all the benefits that this culture and this point in history have provided us. That's what it's about. Yeah, there's a bunch of problematic bullshit, but you know what? Fucking relax. Enjoy the day. Call your family. Tell them you love them, whether you do or you don't. Turn off Fox News and take it easy.
So what we're going to do right now, and then we're going to get off the line,
Thanks,
is
David.
say we are grateful for you guys in the exact same way with this cast that you guys seem to tell us you're grateful for.
Oh,
us.
fuck. No, hold on. Stop. I'm so sorry. David makes a great point. R.I.P. to Weston Oakes, who I was a friend of mine who I met through the world of fiction, who recently passed. And kind of know we need to do like we do. We have our goodbye episodes, but I just can't process it right now. I'm so have to be focused on this book. I have a deadline to meet. I got fucking bills to pay, food to put on the table. I'm tangentially aware that Weston has passed on, and we will talk about it at some point. But yeah, great author, great books. Just put out a collaborative effort with Jonathan Mayberry through Athon, which is our current publisher for The Crypt, and Yvonne Navarro, his wife.
That's the important part.
Is probably going through a very tough time right now. But to Weston Oakes, everybody, you can just go read SEAL Team 666, and that is all you will ever need to know about the man. Great work. He's been on this show. There's nothing more I can say. We are constantly reminded, A and I, as we age out, constantly reminded of our mortality by these wonderful, vibrant, brilliant personalities that create things that would have never existed without them are no longer with us, and they will never create another thing, and it's fucking hard, man. It's fucking hard.
And we will celebrate Wes. We will. If you care to support the loss of Wes, any book you buy of his will help Vaughn move forward. Yvonne Navarro, his now widow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also read a couple of Yvonne Navarro books. She is a more fantasy-based novel.
I read her books when I was a kid, man. It was crazy.
But also look both of them up because this was unexpected, even though Wes was quite sick. So,
and
we'll talk about it.
Wes was also a veteran, and he served for the United States military in multiple capacities over a great period of time.
Thanks, Christy.
Desert Storm, Desert Shield, a lot of other things going on. But we're going to have a celebratory episode about Weston at some point in the future. But right now, we're just like, I only got so many spoons, you guys. I only got so many spoons. Right now, I got to get this shit done, and then I'll process that difficult to process thing at another time.
But if any of you are asking
we are thankful
about
that we got
Weston,
to know him.
Exactly.
We're grateful. That's fucking Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I got to meet this guy, to hang out with this guy, got to communicate with him when he went back overseas to serve again.
And
We got sent him big old care packages because
you
we're like,
supported his whole crew.
we just supported him and his crew. We sent books, we sent food, we just sent whatever we could. And you know what? And it was beautiful and it was fantastic. I wouldn't trade it for all the marbles in the world.
But whoever was asking, the thing you could do is support his books because that will support Vaughn while she goes through this holiday season without Wes.
Hey, let me type. I think I can. EVONNE.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I moved the whole entire desk apparently.
Here, I'll tell one last one story about Weston, and then we'll go on, because his last name was Oches. First name Weston, and he had been in the game long enough that he was exhausted with people not being able to pronounce his name. People being good intentions. Oches, Ochachi, like, are you Latino? Like, dude, he's a fucking 6'2" blonde guy with blue eyes. He's not Latino. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know, and they couldn't. So he would open up every single panel. Hi, I'm Weston Oakes. I've written many science fiction horror books, the most popular one of which is SEAL Team 666, which has been optioned by Dwayne Johnson. I got to sit and talk with The Rock for a while. It was great. One of my best professional experiences. As far as my name goes, basically, think of me like a suburb. Weston, like as in west, and Oaks, as in all the streets are named after trees. Just remember, I'm a suburb, west on Oaks, and you'll be fine. And like he opened up, I've done like fucking 10 panels with him. He opened up every panel the same way, and that was his shtick, and it was super clever, and I loved it. All right?
Listen, we're going to see you guys next week. Next week, we're going to go through the Blood is Red.
There you go. I got it all written up for you.
The Blood is Red Q&A. It's probably going to be about a little long because we're going to split it into two episodes. But also, I know a lot of you have been asking me, we're going to do a SIGLERinPLACE the day before his birthday. If you have birthday messages, just send them to info@emptyset. I'll get you. Because
you just do this real quick. I know I'm going to get my shit, but so we're talking about it. Real quick.
There you go. Good. We should do this. Let's shine him up.
This is Weston's, I wouldn't call it his magnum opus, but this is what put the man on the map and gave him a career as a writer. SEAL Team 666, a novel. It's SEAL Team 6 meets Stephen King in this novel about an elite group of soldiers who protect the United States from supernatural threats.
Nayoka, nice to see you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, good shit. And you know what? We'll be back for my birthday next week, motherfuckers. And you got to bring drinks, bitches. You bunch of bah humbug bitches. If you consume alcohol, I expect you to show up for the show 2 drinks in. If you do not consume alcohol, try to not have 2 full drinks because then you'll have to stop in the middle and pee when I'm trying to be funny and entertain you. So dial it down a notch, you teetotalers. But the rest of you motherfuckers, let's get fucking ripped. Let's fucking celebrate. Let's celebrate life. Let's have a good time. That's what's coming for you, punks.
You guys have already been asking, so I'll say one more time. If you want to make sure your birthday wishes are conveyed, send that to info@emptyset before Tuesday of next week, and we'll do that. There won't be pee breaks.
Let me put that link in the chat. There you go, all of you. Until then, we want you to stay smart.
We need you to stay science.
And for the love of science, we want you to stay informed. A and I are going to go tie one on and probably play a bunch of fucking Fortnite.
Papa's going to play Fortnite.
Yeah, and Weston Oakes also wrote Infiltrator. Hold on.
Yeah. You guys, and here's the thing. If you're looking to do a grace for writers who are good people, you can probably, if you have an Amazon, an Audible
fun
credit,
book.
just burn it.
I will say Weston was given a serious challenge with this. He tried to incorporate the white alien, which is a bunch of bullshit. If you're trying to write with any kind of continuity or scientific accuracy, Weston had to write about the white alien we saw that somehow Ripley gave birth to. It's besides the point. The point is Weston fucking tore that shit up. So there's another fun book for you guys.
And if any of you need a moment of grace,
that's it.
In this, if you are trying to be Thanksgiving and you want to shine up Yvonne, buy any Weston Oakes book. Give her a graceful day because they're both amazing and lovely, and it's so hard.
All right. You may all now, frankly, listen, I love you people. I do. And this is my face. This is my I love you face.
Come back and celebrate Papa's birthday.
Don't you fucking dare call me into your office to tell me I'm not using enough fucking emojis in my
Will
text.
Price, nice to see you. Hi.
But with all the love that is in my black heart, you may all kiss off into the sky. Ho, he, ho, he, ho, he, 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 he.